Great. All right. Well, hello and welcome to another pod from OMP. We're an AI solutions integrator and wanted to talk today about some of the technologies that we're really excited about to implement in our solutions for business. And that is Auto AI. And with us is Hanley, our chief AI architect over at OMP. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Simon Flom, one of the founders. And I'm not so technical. I'm technical enough to get my hands dirty and get in trouble where Hanley has to bail me out. But Hanley's our main AI architect. And I wanted to talk today about what is auto AI? Is it how can it benefit businesses? How can it benefit humans? Where are we at with testing it out? Where are we at internally at OMP and testing it out? And just go into all that and hopefully by the end of this I'll understand it better.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Well, most people that are listening to this, or I'll assume that might be familiar with ChatGPT. So, how ChatGPT works, large language model, is you type in your prompt, one prompt at a time, and then the language model returns one response. And it's all language based at this point. So, I'm thinking of breaking the auto AI into two components. There is the ability for the AI to design a plan, and then the AI can use tools to execute the plan. So when I say tools, that means that the AI can control other pieces of software and get that software to do something.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So is this like available now in ChatGPT from OpenAI, or how are you playing with it now?
This is likely in the lab at OpenAI, and I think this is informative to let people know where the industry is likely going to be rapidly. So,
Mm,
the ex head of AI engineer for Tesla, his name is Andrej Karpathy, and he's a
yeah.
very elite coder, been involved with AI since the dawn. And he left Tesla, I think, about 5 months ago. And this was on Lex Friedman. He was talking about this.
Yeah, I think I caught some of that.
He said that he had gotten into this role at Tesla where he wasn't writing code anymore. He's a coder. That's what he does. He's a Python, C plus master. And he's designed their whole architecture over there. And he said, I'm just in meetings all day long. It's gotten boring for me. I'm losing touch with where the industry is going. And I quit Tesla so I can start building something again. I want to build. And I heard that and didn't think much of it after that. And then about a month ago, I saw a tweet from him saying, basically on his Twitter page, he lists that he is now currently at OpenAI working on Auto AI.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So we've got the ex head of Tesla, one of the most elite AI coders on earth, is working
Yeah.
as OpenAI with the full resources of Microsoft and OpenAI designing Auto AIs.
And they already have the plugins. So what I'm thinking is, so they'll have an auto AI component. Maybe it's part of the pro plan or a business plan, and then that auto AI can just take advantage of all the plugins that it has access to perform tasks like end to end almost. Right? Is
Right.
that the idea?
So the two components when you're going to prompt an auto AI, and this stuff is available in kind of like toy demo mode in the open source space currently.
Right.
So there's AutoGPT and Super AGI and Baby AGI and Engineer GPT, and there's quite a few open source things that are happening. And I've played around with them some, and we're able to get some decent output. And how these things work is you give it your prompt, and then it builds a list of things that it needs to do to
Mm,
get to its end goal. And then it parses that list out, and then it uses each item in that list to do a new prompt, and then it takes the output of that prompt and adds it back into what it knows it needs to do, and then continues on. It self analyzes on every
mm,
step of the way. Okay, I've done this thing, and here's the input. Now, where am I at? What's the next step? Okay, now do the next step. Put the input back in. Now I've got my new set of information. What's the next step?
right. Right. So what's an example of like a task? I mean, it seems to me like it can handle like cognitive tasks now because it's going out and it's using these other tools. So what are some examples like use cases that you've, come across?
Hmm. One thing I've seen people doing is design a business or do market research. Somebody will say, um, make me money. And
Right.
the auto AI or so that prompt will go to GPT-4, and GPT-4 will say, okay, well, in order to make money, here's an idea. You can do affiliate marketing via
Sure.
Amazon. So, in
Sure.
order to do affiliate marketing, first you're going to need to make a website, then you're going to need to advertise, and you need to pick a product. And so it will start going through, and it will make the website, and then it will give you deployment instructions, and then it will help you pick the product, and it will design some tweets that you can send out to let people know that you have this thing.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting. Interesting. So it can also so it's doing research. So there's like lots of companies, businesses that are out there doing market research for a variety of reasons. Stock refinances. I mean, just looking up stock performance, right? So technically, from what you're saying, you could program an auto AI or just give it some natural language instructions to go perform research on, like, let's say, a stock. So you're thinking about an investment, into a particular company, and you want to know, how that stock's been performing relative to their industry peers. So is that the type of thing you could just tell it to go and like so kind of like we would for a junior analyst or someone that you has tasked to do perform research. So the AI could just go out and perform all that, and then like along the way, does it like let you like see the different answers along the way so you can make adjustments, or how does it involve the user?
Yeah, I've seen a couple different systems. One of them, you see the rolling log of what
Mm,
GPT is saying to itself, so you can follow its chain of thought along the way. And occasionally you can put it on auto mode or manual mode, and if you have it on manual mode, then every so often, however it's set up, you can sort of intervene and go scooch a little over this way, do that.
right, right, right. Interesting. So can these then? I mean, these can be programmed into like applications then, right? Well, so once you get kind of a flow in place or a command that gave you a good result, maybe you can like tie them into your apps that you use, or create an API that an app can call. I mean, how are you thinking that companies, businesses can integrate this capability?
Right, so say, well, let me linger back on the tool use, because this is an important aspect also.
Mhm.
And I'll go a little tiny bit into the technical weeds. The way that things communicate with each other on the internet are via these APIs. And what I'm going to do with an API is I'm going to construct a packet of data, and that's some instructions. So let's stick with the stock research. I'm going to construct a packet of data that goes, I want to know about this stock, and I want to know about this time frame, and I want to know about these metrics. So I'll take that packet and I'll send it to this other AI or API, and it will receive that, and it will go, okay, let me look up that stock, let me look up that time frame, and let me look up those metrics. Now I'm going to make my packet of data and I'm going to send it back to you.
Sure.
Now I've
With you.
got this new packet of data that was created by this other computer. That's how
Hmm.
essentially an API works. So when we make our call to GPT-4, for instance, we do the same thing. We put our prompt in a packet of data, we send it to OpenAI, they give us the answer, and then they send that answer back. So we can view this as the way that an auto AI is going to use tools. So here's some more evidence that OpenAI is hot on the case of developing these auto AIs. They've released an API
Hmm.
that we're used to the language models. We say some natural language to it, and it responds with natural language. And so some hacky type of people have tricked the language model into, instead of giving me a natural language response back, instead give me a structured packet of data back.
Right.
And it works sometimes, not all the time. It makes these systems hard and cumbersome, and you've got to go through extra steps, and it slows them down.
Right.
What OpenAI has done last week is they have created a new API where I send it my natural language instructions,
Hmm.
and I also send it the blueprint for how I want my packet to look. And now OpenAI sends me back a structured response that I can then give to my tool. Now,
Oh, wow. Okay.
now instead of taking that natural language response and transforming it into the packet myself, now OpenAI is just doing that for us.
And that's in JSON format
It's in
that it's sent
JSON
back?
format, yeah, which is the most common packet structure that you'll see.
Okay, so this is just going to make it easier to send instructions and then get machine readable output that can be fed into an auto AI. Is that what you're saying basically?
It is machine readable instructions that can be given to an API. So I'm going to structure my instructions, and now I can send those to my stock market research company that I've signed up with, and then they can send me my
Mhm.
information back that I care about.
And that's just one tool. So your auto AI can use that tool or that API to get part of the answer that it needs, right?
Right,
And then it can go to a different API to get. So that's that list of tools. So if you
right,
give it, so the more tools you give it access to, theoretically, the more complex solution, right? You could or task you can have it, take on.
right.
Uh, yeah, that's super interesting. So some of the tools that we're working on, right, handling our platform for AI that sort of like combines enterprise search and ChatGPT for the enterprise all in one solution. I can see us definitely leveraging the auto AI because in our work platform, you can go there to find anything using semantic language, answer any question on your data, but then like now you can perform tasks theoretically, right? I mean, you can get GPT to answer questions on your data, but then if you give it some access to tools, you can then take your data as context and then perform, more tasks against that data, right? Is that how you see us kind of
Yeah.
roadmap this?
Let me kind of go over two other tools so we can get out of the like I just want to look something up realm.
Yeah,
Okay, let's say I've got an API that I can send emails with. And
right.
we've got a workflow where I need to take something that I know and I need to send that as an email to somebody else. So now what I can do instead of going into my browser and opening up Gmail is I can create a packet of data that's got the text of my email and the recipient, and I can send that to my email API, and that'll just automatically send an email to me. Or another example is, say I get all of my data back that I'm trying to research on this stock, but I need to store it. So I create a packet of data that I send to my SQL database. And now that automatically puts it into the SQL database for me and stores that data.
So that's like the technical description, but what would a user experience like? How would the user experience you envision? Because we're not going to have the end users going into these tools where they're going to see code and see the JSON output. So how do you envision this like being hooked up to the user experience through an interface?
Sure. I imagine it's going to flow through a normal looking chatbot. So my boss gives me the instructions to go look up company ABZ and find its performance metrics across these indicators for the last 3 years.
Right.
So I'll go to my auto AI and I'll go look up that and send my boss an email. And then it'll go, okay, I know that now there's two tools that I need to use. First, I need
Right.
to figure out what I need to look up. Then I need to send instructions to that API. I need to get those instructions back. Whatever the data that I get back, I need to reformat that into an email that my boss can read. And then I'll use this other API to send the email out. So now I don't have to do the lookup and I don't have to do the email. I just have to ask the auto AI to do all of that for me.
Interesting. So then you can add some more complexity. So where like, okay, so you get that as part of that research, maybe you have to write a report where you have to write, or maybe a comparison analysis between 3 or 4 or 5 company names, and just kind of find maybe the pros and cons of each. Yeah, so I can see that getting really complex based on how many APIs and tools you hook it up to. Okay, so let me take you a little bit further in that then. So what about the AI, the auto AI, just creating the tools that it needs on the fly? Is that something that you've seen, like, or you foresee happening? So if it doesn't have the tool, it just it'll spawn the tool, kind of like in an RPG game where your weapon or your item just appears when you
Sure.
need it.
Very interesting. There's a few auto AIs out there that are solely focused on creating code. So one that's fun to play around with is Engineer GPT. So
Mm-hmm.
what Engineer GPT is you describe the program that you want created, and then it comes back and it asks you some clarifying questions. And you go through this process with it of, okay, here's my answer to those questions, and then it asks you some more clarifying questions. And when it
Wow.
feels like it has all the information that it needs, it starts writing and testing code. Boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
And it runs up a $10 bill to OpenAI because it just did 500 GPT-4 calls in a row.
Wow.
And it outputs a folder that has 8 Python scripts in there and a main, and you run the main and your program works. So I saw a demo of someone who created an entire, that snake thing that we
Yeah.
used to play
Yeah.
on our calculators,
Right. Right. Yeah.
coded an entire snake program from one prompt.
Wow. Wow. So software development, game development, app development, that's gonna, I mean, it's already been exploding, but like I think that the cost of doing that is gonna go down with tools like Auto AI, and you're gonna be able to code more with less developers, right? You're gonna have like these assistants that can help. So it's not just code too, but I'm thinking like writing a research paper, right? So you can have like an agent that's sort of just answering questions on what you want to write or a report. And we've seen iterations of that now where you can like, but it's mostly just prompt engineering behind the interface, it asking you questions and it generates an output. But this is something that's like much more sophisticated. It sounds like it could just really leverage these other APIs and data feeds that you expose it to pull citations and kind of keep, but it would include you along the way, right? So that human in the loop sort of process. I'd
Yeah,
imagine it could be done for creating any kind of content, really. I
sure.
mean, code is just content, right? It's
Sure.
computer readable content
Yep.
that executes a function. But making a movie, making a song, right? I think the auto AI is really, really going to enhance those initiatives, and those work streams, like probably 100x. I mean, yeah, that's incredible. So, well, we're excited to be implementing this. So, when do you think, like, what you're seeing between? Okay, so we're about halfway through the year, right? So we were talking about auto AI in January, February, and you were getting me, up to speed, but it's been evolving so quickly. Where do you think we're going to be in 6 months with auto AI? Do you think it's going to be like practical yet for businesses to take advantage of? And like,
Sure.
can we incorporate it into our day-to-day tools, like, in our work platform, right? Can do you see people being able to, put cognitive tasks together, save them as a button or as a command, and then just like running them, when they need to? What do you think is gonna? Where do you think we'll be in about 6 months?
Yeah. Well, for writing code, things seem to be going pretty quickly. Like I said, writing an entire Python program that's made up of 6 different scripts where you can play a video game. None of that code existed, and the AI wrote all of that in 10 minutes.
Wow.
That's kind of where we're at right now for the example. Um, and so these things compound on each other, I believe. So it's like now all of the developers have access to this. That means all the developers can go faster. And
Right.
then and then you put in the major companies into this too. And OpenAI especially seems to
Right.
be hell bent on accelerating this as quickly as possible. You heard Sam Altman say many times, the CEO of OpenAI, that his goal is to drive the cost of intelligence down to zero. Also, energy. He's a fusion investor, and he says the cost of energy and intelligence are both going to zero, and that's going to
Wow.
be this catalytic change, world change agent, right? So, to
Right.
answer your question more directly, I think that the ability to do basic ish research is there right now. Like, if we really put our heads down and solely focused on making a stock market research tool and we gave it a few tools, all the all the framework is in place for that. Like, we don't have to invent anything new to do that. We just need to find the APIs we want to use and create the code and kind of glue it all together, and we're there. I think where people are going to find value is saying, like, what do people actually need this for? What's not a gimmick? What's not something that's impressive? What's
Right.
something that actually moves pieces on the chessboard?
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's where I think where our company comes in is just defining that value intersection, right, of the technology, and then the output, and then the business value. Like, we want to be able to focus on those types of um, activities, and because there's a lot of gimmicky apps out there, right? But we have to just see how that's going to translate into business tools, and augmenting human beings in the corporate world, in the business world, in
Yep.
the academic world. So that's where I think we do really well. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is one of the, every time you talk about it, I'm just like, wow, my mind's like blown. I'm like, man, I can't wait to show this to some of our clients, and
Sure.
how we can incorporate it. And it is on our roadmap, right, to incorporate this stuff
Definitely. It's
to
on our
our,
roadmap, it's on our
yeah,
partners' roadmap, it's on all the
yeah,
roadmaps.
yeah. So if you're interested in learning more about auto AI and ChatGPT for the enterprise, and there's other terms you may have heard: neural search, neural discovery, semantic search, cognitive search. Those are just fancy ways of finding your information using your natural language over a large corpus of text, and we do that really well with our solution that we have.
Yeah.
We've created a platform that brings all collective knowledge of a company or organization or any outside data feed that you want included in this collective knowledge base. We bring all that together with a platform, and you can find things in seconds using natural language, ask and answer questions using natural language, like you can for ChatGPT. And then we'll be able to add some auto AI tasks in the future, so
Yeah.
that once you find what you're looking for, then you perform your work tasks using that as context. Um, so yeah, we're really excited to show our clients this. So thanks, Hanley, a lot for explaining that. And
Sure.
yeah, looking forward to doing more of these sessions where we you kind of like brainstorm the impacts of this on industry, and then you educate me on what you're learning about. So yeah, thank you so much.
Sure, Simon. Let me add my 2 cents on that too, just
Yeah.
to build on what you just said. I think this space is so big and it's just getting bigger very, very quickly. And like we were
Yeah.
saying, how do you take this technology and apply it to your business that it moves the pieces on the board in
Right.
ways that we want them moved? Right?
Right.
And that is really that's what's up for grabs here, and it's anyone's guess.
Yeah.
And so, where we really thrive is that we have been exposing ourselves to this technology for years.
Yeah.
Like, I've been working with GPT for 3 years, since
Yeah.
GPT 2. And so,
Yeah.
we have an intuitive sense of like what you can do with this and how do you talk to this thing to get
Yeah.
it to give you the answers that you need. So,
Yeah.
so that's
Exactly.
where the integrator is a really necessary component for people who say, I see that AI is a big deal. What do I do?
Yeah, and also to not be made obsolete with your strategy. Like if you have to
We've
have an
seen
AI
that too
strategy.
in the space, haven't
Yeah,
we?
we've seen that too so far. I mean, we you know since we started back in early February, what we've seen in this market, it's just been unbelievable. The explosion of growth, and how many like companies and products that were coming online in the last few years that are now basically obsolete, or have so many competitors to where it's like businesses are like, okay, well, where do I even start? Because here's a company that came out 2 years ago, and um, you know that space is so crowded now that it's like, where do you start? Like, how do you know the company or solution you pick is not going to be made obsolete in 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where having solutions that are nimble, agile, and have the future roadmap in mind, and then
That's
that's
it.
what we are. We're all integrating. Like, how is auto AI going to change the world, right?
Yeah.
How are these agents that can work autonomously and semi-autonomously to perform cognitive tasks? How that's going to change the enterprise software landscape, right? And that's kind of where we fit in. Is that we can guide in order to do that, to navigate through that, and and constantly integrate. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? So we've looked at thousands of tools, and you know um, we've picked the best ones to put together in our solutions. So yeah, we'd love to, for those listening, we'd love to chat with you sometime. Our contact info is below in the description. Love to hear about what you're thinking for your organization, for AI, and some of the challenges you have, just in general, and where do you want to move the needle? Like Hanley's saying, what pieces on the chessboard do you want to move? Do you want to increase revenue? Do you want to reduce operating expenses?
Get
Do you want to,
insights.
yeah, get insights? That's another thing too. And it's really, it touches every single area of a business, every type of industry. There is an AI that can power
Yeah.
every function of a business or
Yeah.
enhance it. So it's finding things quickly, you know, um,
Thinking
finding
about things,
thinking
coming up
about
with
things.
ideas quickly instead of sitting there and thinking.
Sure,
You
sure.
say, I want to think about this, and then it goes, here's 10 ideas.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest theme I'm seeing though is saving time.
Yeah.
Like, whether
It's a big one.
you're thinking of ideas or using an AI to augment your creativity, you're using an AI to find information quickly. you're using an AI to perform a task end to end or partially. The output is time savings. So I think that that's the number one theme we're seeing is saving time, so that then the worker or the workforce, the team can focus on more meaningful work. I
Yeah.
mean, the we've just seen it too. Like in the tools we've been using internally, it's like you know you need some tools to or AI to be able to just cut through everything, find what you're looking for, and
Yep.
then take the next step. And then
Yeah.
the more advanced we get, the more of those steps AI can help us just take automatically.
Yeah.
So then you're like, all right, you look at your work week, 40 hours, 50 hours. It's like, all right, well, you used to spend 5 hours on administrative stuff, and that could even be more because like you're waiting for someone to answer a question. Maybe you go get some coffee, or you go, take a break because you're at home and whatever. You go run an errand because you can't accomplish this task without waiting for an answer from someone else, or you just not you're frustrated with all the apps you have to look through. And I mean, that's
Sure.
where I think you're just gonna be able to come to a machine, or not even that. Look at the uh, spatial computing now with Apple Vision Pro, right? So that's what we're planning for. We're planning for auto AIs with spatial computing,
Yep.
so that you can work anywhere. You don't have to sit chained to a desk, and then you're focused on meaningful work, not like filling out reports, or sending redundant emails, or asking redundant questions and waiting for answers. It's like, oh man, all the mundane work. That's what we're trying to automate. Like,
Definitely. So
and then
humans can be fulfilled, really. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, and like you said too, insights. I mean, what we've seen with some of the tools we've played with, we have a great tool in our free platform on our website. You can check out. It's a Derive. It's called Derive, and so any insight you want from any large uh, knowledge base, or a large corpus of text, it'll go in and extract exactly what you're looking for based on your natural language command, and it will save you, like, I mean, you could take a 100-page book or white paper and just extract all the key points, or extract all pain points or challenges mentioned, or any other insight particularly like that you're looking for. You give it the context. That will take you how long, as a human being, to read through 100 pages. And then as we see the context size is getting bigger with ChatGPT, right, with the newer models that are coming out, you're going to be able to process more and more data in a single command. The result is time savings, and we haven't even gotten started on education. That's If you guys want to check out the future of education, check out our other video with a company called Knowledge. We really broke down how human beings learn, and the impact of AI on that, and how it's going to change the education field. Really great video. Haley, I don't even think you've had a chance to watch it. You couldn't join us that day, but anyhow, do you have anything else to add, Hanley? Or
no, I mean, one last thing I'll say, just talking about efficiency. I mean,
yeah,
I think coders have felt this firsthand really quickly. I literally write code 10 to 20 times faster than I did 3 years
that's
ago.
incredible.
10 to 20x code
That's
writing.
incredible.
So
That's
that's really what we're dealing with here. Yeah.
That's incredible. And then so you multiply that by all the coders out there. You're taking junior coders, you're giving them, you know, abilities as mid to senior level capabilities. You're giving where their output at least is 10 to 20x
Yeah.
faster. I mean, we're doing more with less.
Yeah.
Our team is small, and we're able to crank out so much code, and stitch all these different solutions together. And yeah, I just can't wait to see it to start being adopted in other parts. I mean, I'll just leave the last bit here of a concern I keep seeing is the security,
Sure.
right? Security, and my information being sent to OpenAI or to Google Bard.
Sure.
So that's another topic we'll touch on maybe in
Yeah.
another call. Is like,
Absolutely. Big
sure, these
topic.
language models, right? Because we envision them being portable and like being local on people's desktops or on a virtual machine, but controlled by the company within the firewall. That's where we're going with all this. So we're building out our tools with that in mind, that we'll be able to do uh, you know certain things now and then highly sensitive data later, but using the same sort of architecture that we're building.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, definitely. Thanks, Simon.
Yeah, no, thank you, Hanley. All right, and if you guys
Great
want to
talking to you. Oh, look, here
more
comes my
about,
kiddo. So
definitely
perfect
hit
segue.
the description of the link. Yeah. All right, great. Thanks so much, guys. All right.
Bye, Simon.